Hello and welcome to another segment of Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Jamie Johnson, the government and legal correspondent. And now that we are into May, we are beyond spring elections, and those are over. But we have someone who is recently elected and to a position, and they're my guest today, Kyle Schaffer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Kyle, you are now the municipal judge-elect, and you're just waiting to go through your training. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be reporting to Appleton and starting the training through Friday. And at that point, then yes, I will be a bona fide judge, municipal court judge for Hudson.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about your background. First of all, you are currently in this community. Which school district do you live in?
Yeah, that's correct. I live right downtown here. So the Willow River School District is where I would fall into.
Okay.
Just live a few blocks from here.
Very good. And and folks probably know that our studio is in the old county courthouse here, but not too far from the Chamber of Commerce, or not the Chamber of Commerce, the City Hall.
City Hall, correct.
And where your courtroom will be as municipal judge for the City of Hudson, right?
That is correct, yes.
So all in walking distance anyway. Huh?
Yes, yeah.
All right. Now, so we've got, that usual question of where you're born and raised and all that stuff. So where are you from?
Yeah, so I was born in Chisago City, Minnesota, but I like to claim that I was raised in Eau Claire. We moved around a little bit, anywhere from Spooner to Eau Claire to Stanley. That's where I did my high school years. But Eau Claire is where I was elementary and middle school and kind of those formidable years.
So both Gopher and Badger blood then?
Yeah, it does get a little dicey. Definitely a Packers fan, but Twins fan at heart. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, now the Twins are not in the same league as the Brewers. You can
helps.
Split allegiance. But as far as what's germane to your education level, then you went to UW River Falls.
Yes.
Undergrad.
So my undergrad was at UW River Falls.
And college or in law school was?
Law school was University of St. Thomas, downtown Minneapolis.
Okay. So, and what year was that you concluded law school?
Oh, that would have been, I want to say 2016.
Okay. So you've been in practice 8 years?
That's correct. Yep.
And your current law firm is?
Willow River Law, and it's right up on the hill over by Aldi's, and that's been 2.5 years.
Okay. And prior to that, you were with which firm?
Bakke Norman.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I know Bakke Norman has kind of a diverse practice, but one of their areas is municipal law. Did you have experience in municipal law to train you for municipal judge? Similar things anyway?
Yeah. So as far as actual training for that, I covered some municipal hearings as far as pretrials and those sorts of things. I was not involved heavily in the municipal practice as far as representing municipalities. They're counsel for various municipalities throughout the St. Croix Valley, and but my exposure to that was just in covering for Deanne Cole on a handful of pre-trials and some trials.
So what possessed you to want to become municipal judge in Hudson then?
Yeah, well, being now a local, I've been in Hudson since 2011 when I got married. My wife and I moved to this community, into the city proper since 2000. I would say like 15 time frame, and it has been, I've always wanted to be in local politics. For me, I think that's where you make the most difference. It's the people you rub elbows with every day. It's the place where your children are raised. And if I were ever to do local politics or politics at all, it was just going to be on the local level. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, now you won by a huge margin because nobody else ran for the position. Did that surprise you a little bit that there were no other people wanting to run?
It did. I think it's been quite a few years since anyone else has run. It came to my attention that Sue was going to be retiring, and
by the way, Sue Garrity. Herself, she ran for circuit court judge a couple times, but she was actually a municipal judge here. How long?
my recollection is either 24 or 28 years, I believe.
See, and I remember the prior judge that was Doug Zills
Yeah.
prior to Sue taking over. So.
Yeah. She did run for, she was just telling me the other day, she ran for circuit court judge, and then when that didn't work out, she's like, well, I have all the signs already, Sue Garrity for judge, so she just changed from circuit court to municipal court.
Now, you didn't even have to put out signs, did you?
Fortunately, I did not, no.
So all that political stuff, you know, the downside of the fundraising and so forth, you didn't have to endure that.
Very fortunate, yeah.
But so these are 4-year terms, correct?
That's correct.
For a municipal judge. Now, other than the length of the term being different from a circuit court judge, just kind of tell our viewers, what's the difference between a county circuit court judge who serves 6 years versus what a municipal judge does?
Yeah, absolutely. So a municipal court judge, they're concerned more with ordinances, city ordinances. So they handle things that could end up in circuit court judge, but the City of Hudson police are writing these citations under an ordinance versus a statute. A statute would then, you would end up in circuit court, and so it's just prosecuted here under ordinances of the City of Hudson. And it's things like truancies, speeding tickets, OWI firsts,
So traffic,
building codes,
jaywalking,
littering, yeah.
yeah,
all the big stuff.
but even zoning and building permits, correct?
That's correct. Yep, all of those things, they can write those citations under either a county ordinance or a city ordinance. So
Okay, so your boundary, so to speak, would just be the city limits then,
correct. The City of Hudson proper.
and Village of North Hudson has their own municipal judge.
That is correct. Yep.
So now, you talked about the typical matters that you would handle. Do your duties include marrying folks?
Yeah, that they do. I heard that just the other day. Somebody asked if they could come down and get married at the courthouse, but we were in that transition period between Judge Garrity and I, and so they send them up to the county. But that is something that I will be able to do.
Now, do you know what the compensation is?
As far as the judge position goes,
yes.
Yeah, I believe it's $18,000 or so a year.
Okay, so $18,000 a year. That's probably not going to support a lawyer full-time. So just practicality-wise, how much time is going to be spent in your law practice and how much is going to be spent doing judge stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. So initially, I'm sure it's going to consume a little bit more time as I'm learning the ropes and figuring things out. Judge Garrity has the current court schedule at about 5 half days or so a week, and then some additional days available for trial.
I mean 5 half days a month,
Excuse me,
right?
5 half days a month, yeah.
So about 20 hours a month.
Yeah, yep, give or take, and then some additional trial days on top of that, and then some community engagement, and you know, so that's what I'm anticipating right now. We might be making some changes down the road, but I don't anticipate doing that until fall time frame, maybe around the school year start. So
Okay. Now, I was going to say, besides calendar stuff, do you see any other changes in policies or priorities as far as what you're going to be focused on hearing?
yeah, so I don't necessarily think I'm going to have any major changes in policy. I think Judge Garrity did a great job. She, you know, I think probably one of the biggest services that the municipal court offers this community is in the realm of truancy. And so that is something that she's done a really good job tying in the Hudson School District into the courtroom, bringing them in. They send down their administrators, and they participate in some capacity in those hearings. And we're looking at adding additional options for some follow-up and just requirements on those that fall into that truancy funnel, right? So that we're identifying services that might be available to those families, to those children, hopefully to prevent that recidivism and
So let's just deal with a couple of the stereotypes and everything. First of all, for truancy to get to the level of where you're in front of a municipal judge, we're talking more than just 3 absences in a semester or something.
That is correct. Yeah, I want to, off the top of my head, I don't recall exactly what the trigger is, but at the end of the day, it really is a decision that the school administrators make. They decide that.
So they're doing a fair amount of screening before they push it off onto the city.
Correct. Before they contact an officer and have them actually issue a citation for truancy, they're trying to assess this more holistically and work with the student, work with the families, and then they'll get a citation and end up in the courtroom.
I would bet that the other thing about truancy, it's not always the parents feeling helpless that they can't get their kid to go to school. Sometimes the parent is part of the issue of why the kid's not going to school.
Yeah. Sometimes it is the parent or the guardian that is at fault in some capacity, and sometimes it is just a student that really needs a little bit more guidance and correction, and the parents are feeling a little helpless. I've seen both sides of it. Sue let me go in and observe her courtroom several times, and you really get to understand that it's really you're seeing a symptom, and there's so many issues that are contributing to that truancy. It's not just a kid that doesn't want to go to school. It's the child that's bullied. It's the child that doesn't have a parent that is home when they get on the bus or when they need to get a meal or whatever the case is. So there's a lot of things that are at play. And
so this is probably one of the areas where it's not just simply administering a fine for the student or the parent. There's a lot of social work behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, there was just a big, budget. Thanks to the members of this community, the budget was passed, a referendum that is opening up additional funding that they are going to work on bridging that gap between these individuals that find themselves, whether it's truancy or theft or whatever the case may be, these minors that are finding themselves introduced into the municipal court system, hopefully to kind of catch them and offer them options and services to prevent it from, a lifetime of issues.
So one thing that you as a municipal judge wouldn't be doing like circuit court judges who can put people in jail. I suppose you could find them in contempt of court, so there's a possible threat of that, but it's not like a criminal matter, OWI second or otherwise, or some type of felony where they can be put in jail and held for a long time with bail.
Yeah, that's correct. But you just don't give away our secrets too much.
Okay.
We want them to not want to come to our court. But no, I can't throw people in jail and other than in the realm of
well, they can, and you can assess fines though.
Absolutely.
And if the fines go unpaid, then people's operating privileges can be pulled or potential enforcement at the next level up.
Absolutely, yeah, yep. And I'm still learning, right? I've got to figure out all the ins and outs of the position and what authorities, the position has and doesn't have. But yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Now, do you have, you have some city staff then?
At this time, yes. There's a full-time, one full-time position and one part-time position for the courtroom. So.
And they process the fines and get the files organized for you to review and then hear as you go. Any idea like how often you're going to see an attorney on the other side, or how I would assume the vast majority is people just representing themselves?
Yeah, I think that is the vast majority. Most of the cases I think that end up in trial are represented parties, a lot of times in the realm of the OWI or the building permit issues and zoning violations, ones that have the risk of affecting their livelihoods and their
Right.
their
People can lose their job if they lose their commercial license, for example.
Correct. Yeah. So when there's higher stakes, that's oftentimes where the attorneys get involved. But a majority of them are unrepresented parties.
And what entity or firm is prosecuting matters for this city?
Yep. So that's Rory O'Sullivan, and he's at Rodley Besker, Newhouse, Murray, and Pletcher in River Falls.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So you'll see him most frequently in the courtroom, but sometimes your decisions are just based on the facts and not so much process, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be based on the facts and how they're presented. Everyone deserves their day in court. If they choose to go that route, they're going to have an opportunity to be heard, and the law applied to them fairly.
Now, if somebody contests a ticket, for example, forces the prosecution to prove it, and then it is proved, can you incur or can you impose costs on top of the ticket so that they don't have they don't feel like they have nothing to lose? I mean, there is some kind of consequence for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I know there are some additional fees that can be tacked on, to the extent of which I don't know.
And that's part of your training you start tomorrow,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But speaking of training, a little known fact, you are also in the National Guard too, right?
That is correct. Yeah, I've been in the National Guard for 16 and a half years, all within this community. I started as an enlisted soldier down in River Falls in Delta Company down there, and I've been in units pretty much, throughout the state, at least in the northern half. Right now I'm down at Fort McCoy in a training position where I train future officers on, the tactics and just.
So no plans on giving that up?
20 years is going to be when I will definitely consider that. My wife would like me to have done it about 16 and a half years ago.
She's ready.
She's ready. She's been great. Yeah, she had to go through a deployment in 2019 to 2020. I was in Afghanistan, and as you may recall, that was also during COVID and some civil unrest.
Right. What was that like, Afghanistan?
It was a very interesting time. I'm an infantryman. We were doing not so much a standard infantry mission, but it was a really interesting time just with COVID happening. Then there was the peace agreement that was entered into with the Taliban, which really just changed. We went from having regular, hellos from the neighbors to just silence, and it really, quieted our area anyways.
Okay.
And then there was the drawdown, and that was primarily just shutting down bases and falling back to larger bases. So that's what I did.
Well, hopefully combat training is not something that will be a skill set you need as municipal judge. But
I hope not. Yeah.
all right. Well, is there anything else, like if folks wanted to contact you, I mean, there is still the fact is that you're supposed to be the unbiased decision maker, and so it's not like folks can just come off the street and ask you about their municipal citations, correct?
Yes, yeah, that would be ex parte communication. I'd prefer that doesn't happen, but if they do want to contact me, the best way to do that would be through the city, reaching out to the clerks down at the city and having, whatever communication they have, whatever they'd like to communicate to me, go through them. And then if they're being prosecuted, then the prosecutor can receive that information as well.
So this is a city position that you're holding, but and so city personnel need to be involved in that stuff.
Absolutely, yes.
Very good. Well, Kyle, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll spell that last name for our viewers. It's Schaffer. So 2 F's and only 1 E.
That's correct. Not a very common spelling.
Well, the Schaffer can be spelled about 6 different ways. So, but anyway, congratulations on your new position, and good luck with the training this week. And I hope I don't have to see you in the courtroom. All right.
Thanks so much. I appreciate your time.
You bet. Thanks for coming on. Yeah. And I want to thank our viewers for watching another segment of Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Jamie Johnson. Keep watching.